Have you ever felt like you're a genuinely friendly person, but for some reason, people just don't seem to connect with you? It can be a really frustrating mystery. So let's dive into this because the answer might be hiding in plain sight, in the unspoken language our bodies are using to build invisible walls around us, without us even realizing it.
So let's start right here. You know you're a good person. You're lovely, you're friendly, your heart is basically saying, hey, come on in. But people seem to hesitate. It's a super common feeling. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what might be going on at that nonverbal level.
You know, this quote from a Reddit user just nails the feeling perfectly. It's not a real wall, obviously, but it might as well be. It's this invisible barrier that's made up of tiny, unconscious habits that are basically telling other people to keep away. So, what are the bricks that actually make up this wall?
Okay, let's start by looking at the actual building blocks of this invisible wall. We're talking about specific and often totally unintentional body language habits that create distance. The cool thing is, once you can actually see the bricks, you can start taking them down one by one. First up, let's talk posture. Seriously, without saying a single word, the way we hold our bodies can scream closed for business, even when we're genuinely hoping for a connection.
And this is such a classic disconnect, right? We cross our arms because, hey, it's comfortable, or maybe we're just a little cold. Simple. But what other people often see is something totally different. Psychologists point out it's often read as defensiveness or emotional resistance. It's like you're putting up a physical barrier, signaling you're not really open to what they have to say.
All right, the next brick in our wall, our eyes. Where we look, or maybe more importantly, where we don't look, is one of the most powerful signals we send in any interaction, period.
Man, the gap in interpretation here is just huge. You might be looking away because you're shy, you have social anxiety, or you're just deep in thought, processing what they said. But the person you're with, they could feel like you're being evasive, disinterested, or even hiding something. It sends this powerful, unspoken message. You're not important enough for my full attention. Ouch.
And the final major category of bricks is all about where our attention lies. You know, in our super hyper-connected world, showing someone they have your undivided focus is rare. And failing to do so, well, it's a very, very effective way to build that wall even higher.
This is a classic modern dilemma, isn't it? That quick glance at your phone might seem totally harmless to you, but it immediately tells the other person that something on that little screen is more important than them, right in that moment. And get this. One psychologist notes that rejection actually activates the same areas of the brain as physical pain, so that tiny habit can have a really big emotional impact.
And, of course, the wall has plenty of other bricks. That constant frown, to you, it's just your thinking face. To them, it looks like you're annoyed with them. Slouching in your chair, it just screams boredom. Tapping your fingers, that reads as impatience. And constantly scanning the room over their shoulder makes people feel like you're just looking for someone better to talk to. Every single one of these adds another layer to that wall.
Okay, so we've seen how we build the wall. But let's flip the script. What does it actually feel like to be on the other side of it? Because understanding the other person's experience is absolutely key to figuring out if your nonverbal cues are having an effect you don't intend.
Psychology gives us some really clear signs to watch out for. It might start with the conversation. You're just getting short, clipped answers. Then, notice their space. Are they kind of keeping their distance from you? Look at their body. Are their feet angled away, almost like they're ready to bolt? And all of that leads to the quick exit, where they suddenly have to be anywhere else. If you see this pattern, your wall might be pushing them away.
Now for the big question. Why on earth do we do these things in the first place? It's hardly ever intentional. So let's get into the psychology, because understanding the why is the real first step toward making a change.
So a huge piece of this puzzle is something called negative interpretation bias. It's basically a tendency, especially when we're feeling down or stressed, to see negativity in neutral situations. Think of it like a filter that just colors our perception of the world, including how we read other people's signals.
And this is fascinating. Research shows this bias in action. One study found that when people with low mood were shown a totally neutral facial expression, they were way more likely to see it as sad. So we're not just projecting bad vibes. we might also be misinterpreting the vibes we receive from others, creating this whole negative feedback loop.
And beyond that, so many other internal states can trigger these behaviors. Social anxiety can make eye contact feel genuinely threatening. ADHD can make it almost impossible to stop fidgeting. Even just simple stress or exhaustion can cause us to slouch and frown without thinking. Look, this isn't about blame. It's about recognizing that our internal state often leaks out through our body language.
So we know the bricks, and we know why we use them. But here's the good news. We are not stuck with these walls. Let's get into the most important part, how to start tearing them down and building bridges instead. This is the goal, right here, shifting our focus from unconscious defense to conscious connection. It's a really simple idea, but you know what? It requires deliberate practice.
Here's a super simple 3-step framework. It starts with attending. That means being physically present with open, approachable body language. From there, you move to actively listening, which is about showing you're hearing them, not just waiting for your turn to talk. And finally, you solidify that connection by asking questions that prove you're genuinely interested in what they have to say.
So here it is, your practical bridge-building toolkit. You can try mirroring their posture to build an unconscious rapport. You can adopt the SOLER stance to show you're engaged. That's facing them squarely with an open posture, leaning in, using good eye contact, and staying relaxed. Try paraphrasing what they say, like, "So what I hear you saying is," to confirm you understand. And finally, ask open-ended questions that invite a real conversation.
So remember this, becoming more approachable isn't about changing who you are. It's just about making sure your outside signals finally match your inside intentions. It all starts with a little self-awareness. So think about it. What is one small brick? Uncrossing your arms, putting your phone away for a minute, making just a bit more eye contact that you can consciously remove from your wall, starting right now.